Hi students, my name's Chris and I'm from the Office of Fair Trading's Buy Smart team. And today we're here to do an online video presentation all about avoiding the sneaky scammers. Now this presentation is designed for years 4 to 6, so if that's you, welcome. And if that's not you, that's okay. You can still follow along. I won't tell anyone. So today what we're going to do, I'm going to lead you through some scenarios and some activities where you're going to have to help our characters of Bailey and Riley work out whether something is for real or if it's a scam. Now if you enjoy today's presentation and you want to learn some more about this topic, head on over to our website where you can download all kinds of activities and puzzles and games that can help you learn more about this really important topic. Remember, you can pause this video at any time to give yourself as much time as you need to think about those answers. Now, as I said, today we're going to be working with our two characters, Bailey and Riley. That's Bailey on the left and Riley on the right. Bailey and Riley love playing on Dad's tablet or Mum's computer. It's lots of fun. They can surf the web and play their favourite games. But they always need to be careful of sneaky scammers. Which leads me to my first question for you. And that is a really basic one. What is a scam? Now take a moment, write down if you've got a piece of paper in front of you, what do you think that the word scam means? And then we'll have a bit of a talk about what I think it means. So a scam is a sneaky trick designed to make money by doing something dishonest. So let's break that definition down into a couple of different parts. The first part, the sneaky trick. They are doing something that is dishonest. They are telling us lies. So we know that is a big part of what a scam is. It's dishonest, it's lying to us, it's trying to deceive us. The second part is that it's designed to make money. And that could be by stealing money from us, or by using the scam that they're pulling on us to steal money from somebody else. And we'll talk a bit about what that can be. And the final part of this definition is right at the end there, doing something dishonest. And not just dishonest, something illegal. A scammer is breaking the law. And the person that tries to do this scam is of course called a scammer. Now what sorts of things might they be trying to do? Well, there's lots and lots of different things, but they all come down into one of these three categories. It could be that they're selling items or services that are fake. Now one of the things that I love, and I bet you love too, is shopping online. It's really easy, it's fun, we can do it at the end of the day when we're in our PJs, when we're wrapped in our doona with a nice mug of hot chocolate, and we can jump onto our favourite online shopping website and have a look at some of our favourite things that we can buy. But when we do that, we need to be really careful. That is actually the real website for that online shopping provider, and not somebody who is faking that they have a website where they're selling things. Fake online shopping websites set themselves up to look like real shopping websites, where they're selling real items or real services, but when you pay your money, nothing ever arrives. That's definitely a scam, isn't it? The second thing that some scammers will do is they'll trick people into giving them their money. And there's all sorts of things that they're going to try and use as tricks. It could be trying to trick us by saying that they're from the police, or they're from the tax office, and say to mum and dad that you owe the government some money. And if you don't pay up, you're going to get in trouble. And if that's not really the police, or that's not really the tax office, and mum and dad give that money to them, they've just been tricked into giving money to a scammer, haven't they? Now, number 3, finding out personal information about people and using that to make money. I'm sure you guys have done a lot of work in the classroom all about being cyber safe. And I'm sure you know all the really important reasons why we never give information about ourselves to people that we've never met online. And personal information can be anything to identify who we are. It can include our name, our date of birth, our address, phone number, postcode, a photo of ourselves. We need to be really careful about not providing this information. Now what a scammer might do, for instance, if they had stolen my personal information, is they might go, haha, I will take money out of Chris's bank account now. I'm going to walk up to the bank and I will say, "Hi, I'm Chris." And if I was to do this, they would want to see my bank card, wouldn't they? Or if I couldn't find that, they'll start asking me questions to help me prove that I really am who I say I am. Questions like, what's your name? What's your date of birth? What's your address? Things like that. Now, if a scammer can learn that information about me, then they can also walk up to that bank and say, "Hi, I'm Chris," and answer all those questions about, this is my name, this is my date of birth, and so on. What they can also do to make it even easier for themselves is that if they are able to do this online, then they don't even have to walk up to anybody or anything. They don't have to look anything like me in order to pretend that they really are me. And as soon as they pretend that they're me, they might be able to get access to my bank account. They might be able to spend money on any of my online accounts that I might have, for instance, and be able to use all of that information to scam me. So how do we avoid these sneaky scammers? Well, Dad has a really important piece of advice, and I'm going to share it with you guys. So it's a really simple sentence, and hopefully it's something that we are all going to remember. And so that we can all remember this, I want you to read it out with me as it appears. Okay, are you ready? On the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. If it seems too good to be true, it probably is. And one more time, just so that I know that you guys remember it. If it seems too good to be true, it probably is. Excellent. But one of the things we know about if something is too good to be true is that it might be trying to get us excited or greedy or feel another really strong emotion. Now, why is that? Now, one of the things that scammers know about us as people are smart. People have great brains that can do all sorts of amazing things. But when we're feeling a really, really strong emotion, a lot of our cleverness goes out the window. Think of it like this. I want you to remember back to the last time that you were doing, say, a maths test. Now, you're halfway through the paper. You've still got plenty of questions to go. Now, all of a sudden, the teacher's at the front of the room saying, "Okay, guys, 5 minutes to go." How do you start feeling then, as you look down at all the questions that you haven't done? Are you starting to panic? Are you getting stressed and nervous? Are those emotions going to help you solve the rest of those questions? Of course they're not. If anything, those emotions are going to stop you from thinking clearly. And scammers are going to try and pull that trick. One of the things we know then is if you can spot them trying to make us feel those strong emotions, then you can stop and go, "Wait a minute, is this a scam?" So I want us to stop and think about how we can spot those emotions. Now, Riley's found 4 common emotions that scammers love to use because they can stop us thinking clearly. So what we're going to do as an exercise now is I'm going to give you 4 statements, and each one of those statements is trying to make you feel one of those 4 emotions. And your job is to line up the statement with the emotion. Our first statement: respond to us or you will be arrested. Is that love, greed, panic, or sympathy? Great job, guys. It is panic. As with the example with the maths test before, as soon as we start panicking, a lot of our logical, calm, intelligent thinking stops working. And so scammers love to find ways to make us panic. And in this case, respond to us or you will be arrested. The threat of being arrested, that's definitely going to make people panic. Okay, let's move on to our next example. Please help me because I'm sick. Now, is that love or greed or sympathy? Now, the best answer, I think, for this one is sympathy. Great work, guys. One of the things that scammers know is that people are really good. And good people like to help out when something goes wrong. So one of the sad things that we see a lot if something's gone wrong, like a fire or a flood or a disaster, is we see that scammers sometimes pretend as though they are working for a charity so that they can help raise some money. So if somebody comes knocking at your door when you're with mum and dad at home, saying that they are collecting money to help with some good cause, mum and dad probably should ask them who they're working for and do they have ID to show that they really do work with that organisation or charity. And that will help us work out, is this going to be really going to help that good cause? Or is it just going to go to help that scammer? Next one. If you do this, you will get rich. Now, we've got love and we've got greed left. And of course, I'm going to say that this is greed, but it's not always as simple as that. Sometimes it's about greed, yeah. But also, if people are in a difficult situation and they're running out of money, if they've lost their job, if something's gone wrong like that and they need money in a hurry, this sort of thing, you will get rich quick, might feel like the answer to all of their needs. And it can be just as much a case of desperation as a case of greed. And that's where scammers can be really nasty. Now that gives us one more scenario. Help me out, since you're my friend. Now, of course, there's only one emotion left, and that is love. Now, love doesn't have to be romance or happily ever after. Love can be all kinds of love, like love between family members, friendship, things like that. Any emotion where you care about another person. And if the scammer can pretend, for instance, if they've hacked into somebody's social media account and are pretending to be them, and they might say to you, I'm in trouble, I need some help, then you might go, oh, because you're my friend, I will definitely help you out. And then you're not actually sending money to that friend of yours, you're sending money to a sneaky scammer. One of the things you guys will probably see is I've highlighted 4 letters, one from each of those 4 emotions. I, S, E, L. And when you re-scramble those letters, you will identify something, a word, that tells you what each of these scenarios that we've done in this exercise have in common. L, I, E, S. Lies. That's absolutely right, guys. So each one of those statements is a lie. So one of the things, as we said at the start, scammers are pulling sneaky tricks. They are lying to us. So Bailey loves to play a soccer game online. She often goes onto the website using Mum's computer. But one day, when she opens the game, there's a lot of pop-ups there. Now, we're not likely to see all of them all at once, but sometimes 1 or 2 of those might pop up. In those cases, what should we do? Should we A, click on the links to get the prizes, B, tell Dad or Mum, C, click the X to get away from the pop-ups, D, both B and C, or E, both A and B? Have a bit of a think about it, guys. And that's right. The answer is both B and C. So Bailey immediately gets Dad and tells him what happened, and together they close the pop-ups. So being able to talk to Mum and Dad is a really important thing. If it's not Mum and Dad, maybe it's an older brother or sister or another trusted adult, somebody who you trust is going to help you make good decisions. Being able to have that person as a second opinion is really useful, because if there is something, for instance, that is trying to make us feel that strong emotion, having somebody to talk about it with might help us recognize that that is happening. So that's exactly why Bailey's done that. She's talked to Dad, and he said, that looks like a scam to me. And so together they click the X to get away from those windows. Like any good detective, you'll be able to find the clues that it's not quite right. And if it's not quite right, don't click it. Now, let's do a scenario for Riley. Now, Riley's a big fan of an online game, a big MMO, called The Elf Chronicles. Riley and Dad both play together as elves, and there are hundreds, if not thousands, of other players from all over the world. One day, they're on a quest and they meet another player with the handle ThrillSeek18. ThrillSeek18 sends Riley and Dad a private message with a tempting offer. A free copy of the Elf Chronicles expansion universe. All they need to do is send their game account details. So what should Riley and Dad do? Should they A. send their account details to ThrillSeek 18, B. block communication in the game from ThrillSeek 18, C. ask for more information, D. make a complaint to the moderators, or E. both B and D? Okay, I'll give you a little bit of time to think about it, but if you need to pause, feel free. That's right, guys. The answer was both B and D. So, do you remember what we said Dad's advice at the very start of today's session was? If it sounds too good to be true, it probably is. Is anybody just going to want to give us a free game just because they feel like it? Probably not. If it's too good to be true, it's probably going to be a scam. And Dad says this is something called a phishing scam. So when you go fishing, you always put something on your hook to make the fish tempted to bite it. And that thing is called bait. In this case, what's the bait that this scammer has put on their hook? A free copy of this expansion game. Dad said it's a common scam to trick people into giving away personal details. You might think it's just my game account. What personal details are going to be on there that are going to be all that valuable? But stop and think about it for a moment. On your account, you might have details like your name, your date of birth, where you are in the world, and if Dad, for instance, has had to pay for the game using his credit card numbers, that could be on the game account as well. So there's a lot of information that a sneaky scammer could try to get from us by pretending to be somebody in the game. So they took 2 steps, as you remember, to stop this sneaky scammer. The first thing they did was they blocked any communication from ThrillSeek 18. That means that ThrillSeek could no longer talk to them. Never talk back to a scammer. The more time you give them to convince you that they're real, the more likely they are to actually achieve that. Just block communication straight away. The second thing they did was they went to the game moderators and made a complaint. What that does, as you guys are probably well aware, a moderator's job is to be the police, basically, in the world of the game. And if somebody is breaking the rules, they can take action to punish that person. For instance, if they find out that somebody is trying to scam people in the game, they can boot them out of the game altogether. So step 1, blocking communication, that helps us. Step 2, making the complaint, that helps the rest of the community from falling victim to scams as well. Sneaky email scammers. So Bailey and Riley too want to set up their own email addresses. Mum and Dad say they need to be really careful, especially with emails that come unexpectedly. So what Mum does, she decides to show them an email that she received just today. So I'll give you a little bit of time, guys, to have a look at this email. Okay, so Mum says that there are definitely giveaways that will be there to show that this email is a scam. And the first one is, of course, they want to stop you from thinking carefully. So we've talked about some of the ways already today about how scammers try to stop us thinking carefully. And one of them is, of course, making us stress or panic. Now, one of the ways that scammers like to do this is making us feel as though we have to hurry. It is that thing from before with the maths test. 5 minutes to go, you stress, you panic, you don't think clearly. So, right at the start there, in the subject line, read ASAP, as soon as possible. Right away, they want us to feel as though we have to act quickly before we have time to think about it. Secondly, they don't want us going to Mum or Dad or any other trusted adult or anybody who would help us get a second opinion. As soon as we get somebody to help us and to have a look over something with us, that means we're far more likely to be able to think clearly about it, have that discussion with that trusted adult and discuss, do I think this is real or not? And all of a sudden, regardless of what they're doing, you start thinking a lot more clearly about it and you'll be able to spot that this looks like a scam. So they want to stop you getting that advice right from the start. They'll give you a fast time limit. In this case, they said 24 hours. Sometimes it might even be as quick as 10 minutes. Stop you thinking clearly. They hope that the faster you have to act, the less likely you're going to think clearly about what you're actually clicking on. And the last thing they say before they finish the email is these 2 words, be warned. Be warned. As though this is something that you have to be really, really, really scared about. And as soon as they start using language like that, you say, oh, it looks to me like they're trying to make me feel a strong emotion. Why is that? So if you see something like be warned, you need to be really, really careful and read it really, really carefully just to make sure that it's not a sneaky scammer. Now, the second thing that Mum points out is that scammers like to give us fake contact details. Now, I want you to look closely at the email address that this email has come from. Now, it says that it's come from a company called Oz Lucky Prize. Oz as in Australia. Now, what two letters do we usually see at the end of an email address or a website to tell us that it's come from Australia? .au. But in this case, it's come from an email address that ends with .de. Now, it doesn't matter if you're not sure where in the world .de actually comes from. The fact that this Australian company is not coming from Australia is a warning sign that something is not right here. And if something is not right, then it's probably a scam. Now, I'm sure in all of the cyber safety stuff that you guys have done, you know that we never click on a link without knowing where it's going. Links can go absolutely anywhere on the internet, even to scammers' websites. So how do you know where a link is going before you click on it? There is one simple thing that you can actually do to check. You can take your mouse and don't click, but just hover the mouse over the link that you're not sure about. And after about a second, a little box will pop up, or it could appear at the bottom of your screen. It varies from browser to browser. But either way, the box will tell you the exact URL of where that link is going. And in this case, it's taking you to scambam.com. Now, it might not always be as obvious as that it's a scam. But if it doesn't look right, if it doesn't look like the address that you thought it should be, don't trust it. The third thing is they give you a phone number to call. Now, if this was a real company whose name we recognized, we might think, oh, there's their phone number. I'll call them and ask them, is this email real or is it a scam? But don't call that number, because that could be a phone number that the scammer gives you. The best thing to do an internet search on that company. Find their real website or their real phone number and get in contact. Ask them, is this email from you guys? And they'll probably say, no, that wasn't us, that was a scam. The other thing that's a bit strange with this email's contact information is that it doesn't have something at the bottom that we call a signature block. Emails from businesses or companies usually end with something called a signature block. Now, this usually identifies who the person that works for them that actually sent the email is, what's their name, what's their job title, where do they work, what's their phone number. It might have a logo or a graphic or something like that that you can have a look at. Just because it's there doesn't mean that we trust it. A good detective can see when things aren't quite right. And in this case, the fact that an email from a company doesn't have one of these signature blocks is not quite right. Now, the final thing that Mum points out is that emails from scammers can have lots of bad spelling, bad grammar, and bad punctuation. Now, the teachers are going to love this bit. I'm going to challenge you guys to have a look at this email, take as much time as you need, find as many of the mistakes in spelling, punctuation, and grammar as you can. How did you go with that, guys? Believe it or not, there are over 20 mistakes all through this email. That's a lot of errors. So, most people are going to find between 4 and 14 of those mistakes. If that's you, really well done, guys. If you didn't quite get that many, that's okay. You can absolutely go back and have another go. If you've got more than that, you're an absolute legend. And if you've found more than 20, you can consider yourself a spelling superstar. But most importantly with this email, what was Dad's favorite saying? That's right. If it seems too good to be true, it probably is. Is anybody going to win a major lottery just because they have an email address? No. Sorry guys, that doesn't happen. It seems far too good to be true. Therefore, it probably is a sneaky scam. So just to finish up, guys, let's do a final quiz. I want you to have a look at these scenarios, help Bailey and Riley work out if these are for real or if they are a sneaky scammer. So our first one, someone from the government phones mum and says she needs to pay them more tax right away. Great work, guys. That is a scam. They're trying to get mum to panic. The second one, the family gets a letter saying that they've inherited $15 million from a dead relative that they've never heard of. Does that sound likely? Does it seem too good to be true? It's definitely a scam. Number 3. Dad calls up the phone company and asks to update his customer details. Great work, guys. That one's not a scam. How do we know? Well, Dad called the company. If he's done that, he's looked up what their phone number is, he's found it, and he's contacted them. And that's what's different here. Number 4, a message pops up on Riley's laptop at school saying that he needs to click a link in order to fix a malware issue. Now, do we ever click on a link without knowing what it is? Definitely, it's a scam. Last one, Bailey comes across a free spin the wheel game in order to win a new smartphone. That definitely sounds too good to be true to me. It must be a scam. Okay, so great work, guys. That brings us to the end of today's video presentation. Have a chat to mum or dad, or your brother or sister, or if you're at school, to one of your schoolmates about some of the things that we've talked about today. What are some of the things that are going to be helpful for you? What are some things that you didn't know about before we started today? If you really enjoyed learning about scams today, why not do an entry in our Buy Smart competition all about them? So the Buy Smart competition, don't worry, it's not a scam, is a fun way for you to show off what you know or what you've learned on any topic to do with shopping or using money. There's $15,000 of prizes to win, so jump onto our website to find out all about it. Great work, guys. Thanks a lot, and I hope you had fun.